Hello, I'm Ronnie Eldridge, and welcome to Eldridge and Company. An old friend of mine, Audrey Flack, is one of the world's foremost women artists. She's celebrated for her pioneering photorealist paintings, her beautiful goddess sculptures of powerful women, and now her new large-scale paintings that meld pop culture with all kinds of its religious iconography and her, I guess, whimsical dreams. Audrey is my guest today, and I want to say to her that it is so amazing that she and I painted in the same classrooms a long time ago at the High School of Music and Art. But she had the calling, which I didn't have, or she has become one of the world's most foremost women painters. So hello, Audrey, dear.
Hello, Ronnie.
And you had quite a career. You went to music and art, and then you went to Cooper Union and then up to Yale. And very early in your lifetime, you realized that it was a little different for a woman, number one. Well, go on, tell me.
You know, I was very lucky in that some girl named Flora, she was in our class, I don't know if you knew her, lived in my building and said, I'm taking a test for a high school that specializes in art. And I thought, oh my God. And the minute she said it, I couldn't sleep for the rest of the month. And, you know, luckily that was luck that she said it, because I didn't know about music and art. So I got in, and then the same thing happened with Cooper. Someone told me about the test for Cooper. So that's the second strike of luck, really, because there was no guidance from my parents. I was supposed to get married very young.
We all were, right? We were going to get married, have children, and have a wonderful life.
My mother's mantra was, too much education spoils a girl's chance of marriage. So then when I'm at Cooper, and you know, Ronnie, I was very hyperactive, so I could never sit still in school, and I was always getting in trouble. And I was in my graduating year when the dean tapped me on the shoulder. I'm painting away, and he said, go up to the president's office. And I thought, they're kicking me out. That's it. You know, I must have done something. And I opened the door, and there's Joseph Albers, who had just taken over Yale. And he needed some help from some avant-garde students, and they gave him my name. So that was a third lucky thing, because he saw my work. I got a scholarship. So that's what happened. Mm-hmm. That's what happened. And, you know, life does funny things. But it was a calling, Ronnie. You're right.
Yeah. But what I was talking about before was the difficulty of being part of the crowd when now I can't even think of his name, but when they hit
Jackson Pollock,
Einstein,
Bill de Kooning,
all
Greg
of them, right?
Cardigan, Elaine de Kooning, they were all drunks.
Yeah.
And I was a nice kid. I drank wine and I drank a whiskey sour, but 2 or 3 glasses, I'm out. So I also think, Ronnie, there was something interesting. I just wasn't like them. Mm-hmm. So I put on a very good act. But I also, I was different than the other kids in Washington Heights. Where did you grow up?
West side of Manhattan. I still live, you know, sort of in the same neighborhood. Lower down, I grew up on, I lived on 89th Street.
And I'm on 83rd right now.
Right, that's right.
I grew up in Washington Heights.
Right, and we share the same playground, but when we were younger, at 83rd and Riverside Drive.
Yes, but I look out at it every day.
Yeah. you always had a, a, a passion and a joy of living. I mean, you enjoyed things, I thought. That was my impression when you were younger. So I was always happy to see how your career went on and so proud of it. My kids have always followed you, et cetera. So you started with the Yale, you went to Yale because you were doing all the abstract work. When did that stop? And when did you go into the next phase of your life?
Well, I always wanted to draw realistically from the time I was a little child, because I think children do, they want to draw their parents and their grandparents and their friends and the stars and the moon and the trees. I think it's a human instinct, to understand the world by drawing what's around you. And I think the process of drawing, of visually looking at something and having it go into your brain and translating it onto a piece of paper is really very important for brain development and for understanding life. But when we went to school, when I went to music and art, that was kicked out of me, knocked out of me, because realism was frowned upon. And everything was Picasso. The Cubists, one Braque, one Gris, Braque. And I do remember, it might have been Miss Ridgway, but it was one teacher that had a postcard on the wall of Mary Cassatt. Do you remember that? And it was the first time I saw her, the first woman artist I ever saw.
So interesting.
Never forget that. I loved it. But it was knocked out of me. It was knocked out of me. And I think the public does get brainwashed. I think the Museum of Modern Art is guilty of that kind of brainwashing. They promoted a modernist doctrine. And by the time I got to Cooper Union, it was abstract expressionism. And I was immersed, I was hanging around with those people. And I love that movement. And I'm not putting this all down, but I think my gut instinct and what is in me was I'm a realist and I'm a hyper realist. I want something undeniably real. I want something that the viewer looks at my painting and says, wow, that is an apple, that is a person, that is ultimate and no doubt and transformative. And so it was after I graduated Yale, I had to go back. I went to the Art Students League, studied anatomy. I became an anatomy professor. But I had to, re-educate myself. Now realism is all over the place, so I'm happy to say that.
But it was abusive, wasn't it? The atmosphere when you first started?
Oh, well, it was totally macho. Women were used, including their wives, girlfriends. Women were considered second, no matter who you were. And that includes Lee Krasner, all these women who became my friends later. And, they're now lauded as being pioneers. And they were in a way, Ronnie, but they were acting like men. They were drinking, they were screwing around. I mean, not that we weren't having fun, but there was an attitude of macho bravado, and that was in the work too.
Right. So
there's a lot to be said about that. Also, if you had children, you did not mention it. And most of them did not have children.
Right.
So I never mentioned my children because not only was I a woman, but I had children. And if you had children, you were lesser.
Something. But you survived it because you're such a strong person, right?
Well, there was one point, Ronnie, where I didn't think I was going to survive.
I think I remember that. That was, is that around?
And my ex-husband,
Right,
we
who I
probably
knew
do-
also. Did he go to music and art?
yes, he
Yeah.
was the class cellist
Right,
with Seymour Heifetz, was it?
right, yep. I was reading some of the stuff about you before the program, and I felt overwhelmingly sorry that I hadn't been more support to you, because I remember you're coming down to the playground. And
You do?
I do. And I remember
I-
with Melissa, I remember.
oh,
And I remember I think I remember the problems. I don't remember a few years later, but
oh my God. Yeah,
Yeah.
Melissa was severely autistic.
right.
And
And you didn't know what autism was then.
I'm going to start crying, so I
Oh,
can't.
don't, let's change the subject. Anyway, at one point, I mean, you were so now up in the front with this photorealism, and all of a sudden you stopped. Why? And how did that happen?
That's a major question, Ronnie. And that I just am getting a contract on this book I've been writing only for 35 years.
Good.
And I deal with it in the book, but in a crazy way, it has to do with Melissa. The book is called The Luck of the Draw. What is it, 90 years as an artist, rebel, mother, or whatever. Yeah, you know, sometimes in life, it dictates to you what you have to do.
Mhm.
And I just hit a painting block that was enormous, enormous. I never had anything like that. You know, if a writer has a writer's block or anybody, you know, it would take me a day or two and I'd get over it. This lasted 2 years.
Mm.
And it was interesting because it was after I married Bob.
Mhm.
Melissa was in a good school. Hannah, who had had childhood asthma, was better. And I was very successful. My work was selling, museums were waiting. And all of a sudden, I hit this block. I couldn't work. I stood in front of the canvas, frozen. And I got very depressed, very depressed. So I went to Broadway. I sat on Broadway. There was a homeless shelter there on 86. So I sat among the drunks and the nutcases for 2 years. And that's when I began to write the book.
Oh, good.
What that ended with was me picking up a piece of clay. I came back to the studio, still unable to paint, depressed as hell. You know, art is my life. And I picked up this piece of clay and something began to form. And it was like this little angel with wings and holding a shield, which I called a heart shield. And what I think is that I was giving Melissa wings.
Yeah.
I was giving myself wings. You know, something inside of me was healing from all of that pain that was enormous because we were brutalized. Mothers of autistic children were brutalized. I think Bob saved my life too.
Yeah,
Bob came in
sure
and
he did.
very supportive, and
Great.
you know, you need that.
So you came back with these incredible women, these just incredible statues of just, I mean, it was incredible, right?
Yeah, you know, archetypal women and ancient goddesses have something to tell us. They're in the collective unconscious, and they gave me strength, and I wanted to put them out there. You know, I did Medusa when everybody hated her. Now, all these kids know Medusa. They know that she was beautiful. They know the story. I like to think I had something to do with it many, many years ago when I wrote about her and I sculpted her.
Tell me now, with the drawing that you're doing, I think they're the most incredible, wonderful drawings. They are
Well, it's
you call
interesting.
them drawing or paintings? I guess they're paintings.
They're paintings. I know. I'm glad you're referring to it as drawings, but they are. My latest two are based on Albrecht Dürer and on his woodcuts.
I mean, yeah.
And there, I find them incredible. And I'm interested in line. I've taught drawing for years, and in woodcuts and engravings, you draw with line, and if you want to shade, if let's say this part of my face is more in shadow than that, you have to do it with line, and you crosshatch, and the line is fine and complex. And I found an instrument, a new something that's produced by an art company, where I could draw with acrylic paint. And it thrilled me. And so I'm making these large paintings that are huge drawings, which I then color. One of them just got sold to a collector in Germany. It will be unveiled mid-September. I'm going over.
Oh, that's great.
And but what I call this new series is post-pop Baroque. So they have pop elements. They have historic elements. They refer to great artists of the past. And they're very Baroque. So I don't know if it's a good title, but I'm excited about this new series.
It's so interesting, even though, I mean, going back to the photo realism and everything else, it's the imagination that you use when you produce these incredible works. Isn't that true? I mean, you have a mystical, creative, imaginative thing, I think, that carries you through everything. No?
Maybe it's a crazy mind that doesn't stop. I don't know.
So now, let's just talk for a few minutes. I mean, so we went to music and art together. And
I remember you sitting right across the aisle from me. And I told you I voted for you when you ran for class president. I was in awe of your ability.
And I was in awe of you. And that's the story, I think, of both of our lives. I'm not quite sure. I don't know about you, but we're the same age, although I'm a few months older. And I'm looking back on my life and thinking, you had the direction. I don't know if I had the direction. I feel it was.
Oh, you were already political.
I know. And
already in high school.
Yeah. Right. And it was a wonderful place to be there.
Yeah.
So what do we think about our age? I mean, it's shocking because we're both still as interested in what we do as we were 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 10 years ago. I read a story, Jane Brody from the New York Times, she turned 80 and she said that somebody, the new thing is 80 is the new 60.
What is 90?
70, the new 70.
Oh, really?
So is that how you feel? I never got that old in my mind, I don't think.
I never, 80, 81, 82, 86, 87, 80, 89, it didn't bother me. 90 has sent shockwaves through my mind and body. I'm like, you know why? There's no denying it. You got this much left.
Exactly, we're on the end of it. Right.
But you've got a very finite. So if we live to be 95, that's 5 years. And nobody's going to say, oh, too bad she lived such a short life. You know, what are they going to say? So, and I have so many ideas, so many things I want to do. I am upset about what's happening to my body. You know, the chin, my skin is thinner. I get bruised easily, you know, a lot of other things. You know, I've got an illness which was pretty serious for a while. And but I am wiser. I don't know if this is happening to you, Ronnie, but the art world is pretty crazy right now and volatile. And it is in advance of the political world. It's in advance of everything. So if you want to see what's going on in the world, take a look at the art world. And I really try to keep up and understand and see what these young artists are doing and see what the market is doing. And something in me pulls back and watches the passing parade, because it's a passing parade. And I also, and that has come with age. And when I was younger, you know, I was ready to fight everything and put up your dukes, you know, oh, I'm going to go make a painting. And now I say, well, that's going to happen. And then this will happen long after.
You're like one of the angels that you do, looking down at the world and seeing.
Yeah, a lot of these young artists, they're doing this Sturm und Drang figurative work where the intestines are coming out. It's visceral and they're upset and they're angry and they're political. And I'm thinking, you want to survive, you want to heal, you can't keep doing that. You have to have other imagery. So my new work, oh yes, it deals with global warming and fires and things, but there's a kind of rainbow, there's hope, there's a poem, there's something uplifting. And I'm dealing with almost fairy tales, which are interesting besides mythology. So I also think that has to do with my age, but it also has to do with I've always been 20 years ahead. Always have. So I think this misery will go on for a while and it will have to turn. And then they'll dig up what I'm doing.
I agree with, I have an optimism about the future of the world that is hard sometimes for my grandchildren to understand. It just happens. And, but I have no interest in giving up. So, and I know you don't, but we do have a wisdom that we can give. Isn't that right? We're just.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. We know a lot. And
do they want to hear from us? I don't know.
Well, it was interesting. One of my neuroses, whatever it is when I feel bad, I think the higher part of me knows not, but I think nobody loves me. I'm all alone in the world. You know, I'm nothing. I go to that very dark place. But I don't think I'll ever do that again, because on my 90th birthday, the gallery sent out some big mailing and I got letters from students who are now in their mid-70s, from people I never met, about what something I said, something in my work, something they saw in a museum, how I affected their lives and changed their lives. And I got such an outpouring of love that I thought, I have to remember that. You know, I did it.
That's a wonderful thing. And it's a wonderful way to to feel after you've had a lifetime of all this effort and creativity and everything. It's just wonderful. And to feel that we made a difference, which is what we started out to do. Anyway, we've come to the end of this lovely discussion.
Ronnie, we have to talk about school. You have to call me.
We definitely will get together and talk for a long time. But thank you so much, Audrey Flack, and so much good luck to you. And
you too, Ronnie. It's so nice seeing you.